They story of three Igbo guys, namely Ugachukwu, Ifani, and Udachukwu, who started hustling at the street of Lagos and made it at the time become successful in life. In the sprawling, chaotic heart of Lagos, where the sun beats down with an unforgiving intensity and the air thrums with the symphony of a million dreams, our story begins. It was on these streets, a concrete jungle of hope and hardship, that three young men, three brothers not by blood but by bond, found themselves. Ugachukwu, the thinker, his mind always 2 steps ahead, a strategist born not in a boardroom but in the back alleys of Surulere. Ifani, the voice, blessed with a silver tongue that could charm a snake out of its skin and sell sand in the desert. And Udachukwu, the rock, his strength not just in his broad shoulders, but in his unwavering loyalty and tireless spirit. They were Igbo boys, carrying the weight of their family's expectations and the fire of their ancestors' ambition all the way from the east to this city Fators. Their first hustle was a humbling one. Armed with nothing but a few buckets, some rags, and a bottle of soapy water, they ventured into the notorious Lagos traffic. "Oga, make we wash your windscreen?" Ifani would shout, his voice cutting through the noise of blaring horns and street vendors. Ugachukwu would have already identified the cars with the dirtiest glass and the most patient-looking drivers, directing Udachukwu, who would work with a speed and efficiency that was mesmerizing. Some drivers would shoo them away with a wave of the hand. Others would toss a few crumpled naira notes their way. It was grueling work. The sun would scorch their skin, the exhaust fumes would fill their lungs, and after day, they would return to their shared, cramped room, bones aching and pockets barely heavier than when they left. But they never despaired. Over their meager meal of gari and groundnuts, they would count their earnings, plan for the next day, and dream. Ugachukwu would speak of a future where they weren't chasing cars, but cars were chasing them. The streets of Lagos are a university for the observant. Ugachukwu, with his keen eyes, started noticing a pattern. He saw the traders in Balagan Market, how they would struggle to move their goods from the port to their shops. He saw the Agboros, who controlled the territories, demanding hefty fees that ate into the traders' profits. An idea began to form, a seed planted in the fertile ground of his mind. He shared it with his friends one night, his voice low and urgent. "Why are we washing windscreens for 50 naira when we can be moving goods for 50,000 naira?" he asked. Ifani was skeptical at first. The risk was huge. Udachukwu, ever the pragmatist, simply asked, "How we go do am?" That was all the encouragement Ugachukwu needed. He spent weeks observing, learning the routes, understanding the unofficial taxes, and identifying the traders who were most frustrated with the current system. They pooled their windscreen washing savings, a sum so small it was almost laughable. It was barely enough to rent a rickety hand-pushed cart, known locally as a borikiri. Their first client was a woman who sells fabrics, Mama Nkechi, who was tired of her goods being damaged or delayed. Ifani used his gift of gab to convince her, promising speed and safety. "Mama, trust us," he said, his smile genuine and reassuring. "We are your sons. We will carry your goods like we are carrying our own mother." Udachukwu provided the muscle, navigating the cart through the impossibly crowded market lanes with a strength that defied his lean frame. While Ugachukwu acted as the lookout, the navigator, the street-smart guide who knew which corners to turn and which to avoid. They delivered the goods in record time, not a single thread out of place. Mama Nkechi was so impressed, she paid them double and promised them all her business. Word of the three reliable Igbo boys spread like wildfire through the market. Soon, they had more work than they could handle with one cart. They reinvested every kobo they made. One cart became 2, then 4. They hired other young, hungry boys from their neighborhood, teaching them the values of hard work and integrity that had become their trademark. Ugachukwu was the general, drawing up schedules and logistics on a tattered notebook. Ifani was the diplomat, managing client relationships and negotiating new contracts. Udachukwu was the enforcer of standards, ensuring every job was done to perfection, his presence alone commanding respect from their growing team. They were no longer just hustlers. They were becoming businessmen. They called their fledgling enterprise IU. Logistics, an acronym of their names, a symbol of their unity. But success in Lagos is never a straight line. It attracts envy and opposition. The established Agboros and cart-pushing unions saw IU logistics not as an inspiration, but as a threat. They had been extorting traders for years, and these three upstarts were disrupting their lucrative monopoly. The threats started subtly, a slashed tire on a cart, a whispered warning in the market. Then, it escalated. One evening, Yudachukwu was ambushed by a group of thugs. They wanted to teach him a lesson, to break the rock. But they underestimated his resolve. He fought back with a fury born of desperation and a need to protect what they had built. He came back to their room bruised and bloodied, but unbroken. Fear gripped Afani, who suggested they lay low, maybe even go back to washing windscreens. But it was Yugachukwu, the quiet thinker, who showed his steel. "No," he said, his voice firm. "We do not run. We are not weak. This is our city too. We will not be intimidated." Yugachukwu's mind went into overdrive. He knew they couldn't win with brute force. They had to be smarter. He remembered the stories the older traders told of how things worked, of the unwritten laws of the street. He proposed a meeting. It was a bold, almost suicidal move. Ifani was tasked with arranging it, using his network of contacts to reach the very top of the Agbaro hierarchy. They met in a dimly lit backroom of a local beer parlor, the air thick with tension. The leader, a fearsome man known only as chairman, looked at the three young men with contempt. But when Yugachukwu started to speak, his voice was not one of a boy, but of a peer. He didn't plead or beg. He laid out a business proposal. He explained that you was not there to take their livelihood, but to make the pie bigger for everyone. He proposed a partnership, a formal system where you would handle the logistics, and the union would provide security and territory access for a legitimate, agreed-upon fee. He presented it as a way to legitimize their own hustle, to move from extortion to enterprise. Chairman, a street veteran who recognized a brilliant move when he saw one, listened intently. After a long, tense silence, he smiled, a rare and fearsome sight. "You get liver, small boy," he said. A deal was struck. That meeting was the turning point. With the unions backing logistics exploded. They were no longer just moving goods within the market. They were handling deliveries all over Lagos. They upgraded from handcarts to minivans, then to a small fleet of trucks. They rented a proper office, a small space at first, but it felt like a palace. Yugachukwu, who once scribbled plans in a tattered notebook, now sat before a computer, managing complex logistics software. Ifani, who once shouted at car windows, now met with corporate clients in air-conditioned boardrooms, securing major contracts. And Yudachukwu, who once pushed a rickety cart, now managed a large warehouse and a team of over 100 employees, his presence still the bedrock elevation math their operations. They never forgot where they came from. They established a foundation to help other young hustlers on the streets, providing them with training, capital, and the kind of mentorship they wished they'd had. They built houses for their parents back in the village, their success becoming a source of pride for their entire community. The three boys who arrived in Lagos with nothing but the clothes on their backs and a fire in their bellies had become men of means, titans of industry, their names whispered with respect in the very same markets where they once begged to wash cars. Their story became a modern-day Lagos legend, a testament to the power of friendship, the sharpness of a hustler's mind, and the unyielding strength of the human spirit. The story of three Igbo guys, namely Yugachukwu, Ifani, and Yudachukwu, who started hustling at the street of Lagos and made it at the time become successful in life.